Hi there, this is Miss Kaitlin, and today we are starting the first in our series for the Around the World. Now today we are going to be traveling to the country of Italy. We're going to learn what the shape of Italy's country looks like. We're going to learn the flag, the capital, as well as some famous landmarks and places that you can find in Italy and actually travel to. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing that you're going to need are some papers. Now, there's two ways to actually go about our project today. You could either make the book version, which is just doing the drawings on watercolor papers or any paper that you have, and then you slide it into like a book, or you can create your own book out of it. The second option you have is to sort of make like this world map. And you would need a huge piece of paper to do this. So you can see here, I actually taped two pieces of paper together. It's so big it actually doesn't fit on my screen, but you could tape two pieces of paper together to make a really big piece if you just don't have large pieces of paper. And then you would draw your map onto here. You would do it vertically, and then you can place all the different landmarks and cities that way. Now, if this is the route you want to go, you do have a little bit of prep because I'm actually going to be doing the book example. So go ahead and get a large piece of paper, or go ahead and stick two of them together. And then for the landmarks, you are going to need some little squares of paper cut out. So if you are doing this sort of like world map version, cut out, these are about, I think a little bit over an inch, maybe 2-inch by 2-inch squares. So that way you can stick them onto the different places that we're drawing. So that is if you are doing the world map version. If you're doing the book version like me, we're just going to draw and do all of our work on simple pieces of paper. No taping or anything like that yet. Okay? All right, so go ahead and decide which one you want to do. I'll kind of talk us through the project as we go. But if you are doing the book version like me, or even the large map version, what we're all going to do on our main piece of paper is we are going to draw the country of Italy. Now, countries and landscapes are pretty hard to draw because they're made out of a lot of organic lines and shapes. But we're really going to break it down today and make at least Italy super easy for you. Now, you should be using a pencil to do this part, but again, you're going to see my trusty Sharpie. And by the way, there isn't really a practice draw or final draw for this. We're just going to jump straight in. Don't worry, you don't have to make the lines perfect here because Italy is not a super defined shape. Now, the really cool thing about the country of Italy is that it actually looks like a boot. So what we're going to do is I want you to go ahead and draw two diagonal wavy lines like this on your paper. And then what you're going to do is we want to draw the heel of the boot. So I'm going to do another short wavy line down. I'm going to draw a short wavy line across, a curved wavy line, and then a wavy line out. And that'll be for the front part of the boot. Of course, we got to close it off. So we're going to go ahead and draw another wavy line to connect. And then we're going to draw the island of Sicily. Now, to me, this often looks like a slice of pizza, so maybe the boot is kicking a slice of pizza. So you can draw sort of like a wavy pizza shape. Now, Italy is actually connected to the continent of Europe. It's this boot that kind of comes off the continent itself into this sort of peninsula. That means it has water on all three sides. Now, to draw the rest of Italy that actually connects to mainland Europe, what we're going to do, it's kind of like almost a mushroom shape. So very much pizza themed because pizza does come from Italy after all. So I'm going to first do a curved line down like this or a wavy line down like this on both sides. And then you can have a lot of fun just drawing a wavy line or a bunch of wavy lines all the way over to the other side. And then look at that. We've got the country of Italy all drawn out. Pretty easy, right? So you can see here, it definitely looks like a boot, and I promise you in real life, it looks pretty similar to this. Now there's another island that belongs to Italy that would be over here, but we don't have enough room for that on our very close-up image of it, so we're not going to include it today. We're just going to include Sicily right here in the main island, or the main part of Italy. So now what we're going to do is we are actually going to include the flag into our drawing of the country here. So for that, we are going to divide Italy into 3 pieces. So go ahead and take your pencil and draw a wavy line right here. Leave a little bit of space and then draw another wavy line. So that way you have 3 pieces of Italy. Now, Italy actually can be divided into North and Central and South Italy. There's a lot of different things that are different between these different regions. North Italy is very close to France and Switzerland, so often the culture up here is very similar to those countries. Southern Italy is really similar to Spain and Greece because it borders the Mediterranean Sea. So these peoples and this culture down here is very traditional and focused on, like, what makes Italy Italy. Central Italy is kind of the combination of the two. You see a lot of tourists in this part because Rome is just about here on central part of Italy, as well as Florence, which is a very popular tourist destination. And we'll talk more about those cities in a bit. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take a Sharpie, a permanent marker, it's got to be a permanent marker, and I want you to outline our wavy lines we made for our map and the line we made on the inside to divide Italy into 3 pieces. So go ahead and take about a minute to do that. Pause the video if you need. And when you're ready, we are actually going to start on some watercolor. If you don't have watercolor, that's okay. You can go ahead and just use something else. I'm going to set my marker up here because I know I'll need it for later. So I'm going to go ahead and take out my watercolor. I'm going to scoot this over a little bit. And what we're going to do is we are going to fill in our map here with the colors of the Italian flag on the land. Now the Italian flag goes green, white, and red, and it's 3 stripes that are vertical. I know that they're diagonal right now, but imagine the flag as if it was vertical. So what we're going to do is we are going to fill in northern Italy with green, because that's first on the Italian flag. Then we're going to leave this part white, because that's the other color. And then we'll do the bottom half here red, and we'll even include Sicily in there too. So let's go ahead and get our brushes nice and wet, wipe off the extra water, pick your favorite green to fill in northern Italy with, and let's begin. Now, the colors of the Italian flag stand for different things, kind of like how the American flag stands for different things, like the stars represent, the 50 states, so on and so forth. The Italian flag, since it's been around for so long, Italy is a very, very old country. It's been around even before the Renaissance. The Italian flag has a couple of meanings, but the ones that I think are the most popular, as far as meanings go, green has been said to represent hope. White has been said to represent faith. Well, the red color on the flag represents charity. I've also seen some people say it stands for love, which seems appropriate, right? Red, the color of love. The Italian flag is also really similar to a lot of the countries around it, specifically France. France has really similar colors and a really similar layout of the colors. They're both vertical, which makes sense because Italy and France are neighbors. All right, there we go. Remember, we're going to leave the center blank because that is the color that's in the center of the Italian flag, and we're going to go for red next and fill in the bottom part of the boot here with red. If you need to switch to a smaller brush, go for it. If you just have your one brush like me, you can see I'm being kind of sneaky as I'm coloring in the edges here. I'm standing my brush straight up and down instead of doing it on the side. So that way I can get into these teeny tiny little spaces. Now, a lot of Italian culture is influenced. That just means that it's really inspired by the sea because they live really close to the Mediterranean Sea. All of this area we're going to color in with blue. So you see a lot of seafood. Of course, in Italy, we know a lot of different foods from there, like pizza, lots of different kinds of pasta. As well as other Italian foods. I think one of my favorites is gelato. type of Italian ice cream. All right, next we're going to go ahead and take a blue color once you're ready for it. And you're going to fill in all of this white space that we have left over on the outside of the country with a blue color. I'm going to go ahead and use this sort of aqua color and fill in all of that background. Make sure that you are careful when you get up next to the edges of the country shape. You don't want to accidentally cover it up with blue. Let's go ahead, take some time, fill in your ocean. Sorry, not your ocean, your Mediterranean Sea. All right, we're filling it in, being very careful. Now what we're going to do is, obviously if you're using watercolor, we can't really draw much onto our map just yet because it's drying. So what we're going to do after we're done making our map is we are going to draw some landmarks, some really famous ones. Just need some more water on my brush, it looks like. Now, like I said, if you're doing the wall map version where you have the really large piece of paper and not the book version, making and coloring in the map is probably going to take you a little bit longer just because you have a physically bigger paper than me. So if you need to spend extra time just filling in your map, do so. You can always pause the video and return to it once you're ready. All right, there we go. Now what's really special about Italy and why it's so cool is because of how old it is. Italy, you know, maybe it wasn't called Italy in ancient times, but cities in Italy like Rome have been around since ancient times. And so we have a lot of these really awesome remnants of ancient history in Italy. As well, we see a lot of, you know, recent human, well, maybe not super recent, but even more recent, like the Renaissance, before that, the Middle Ages, and even in modern times, Italy just continues to have a huge impact on Western culture with its food, its language even, and just all around its culture. And just how much of human history has happened in Italy. All right, so now that's all painted in, we are going to go ahead and let this dry. Now, of course, what you can do later is you can add in, you know, mountains into some of these areas. You could take like a pencil or an oil pastel and add them in. You could even add waves into the water or little boats. But again, I'm going to let this dry. That'll be for another time. And let's go ahead and start on those landmarks. So again, I'm going to set this aside. And I'm going to go ahead and also put my watercolors aside. And we are going to start on our landmarks. Now, if you again are doing the giant world map, the picture, like the huge paper, now you're going to need your tiny little squares because we're going to be drawing the landmarks onto these. However, if you are doing the book example like I am, you're just going to need another piece of paper. I'm using watercolor paper here because I am going to do just a little bit of watercolor. However, you can do this on a regular piece of paper, maybe the same size if that's all you have. All right, so I'm going to start us off with two cities. Of course, we know Rome. Rome is the capital of Italy. But what we're going to do is we are actually going to go ahead and start with Florence and Venice first. So Florence is a country, or sorry, not a country, a city, and about central Italy, about here, a little bit of towards the north, but still kind of in the center. Florence holds a lot of Italy's history from the Renaissance. A lot of really beautiful pieces of artwork can be found in Florence from the Renaissance as well as architecture. And what we are going to do is we are going to draw the Duomo. Now, the Duomo is this beautiful cathedral in Florence from the Renaissance. In fact, at the time, when it was finished in, what year? 1436, it was actually the largest freestanding dome in the whole world. Of course, now there are bigger ones, but it still remains one of the largest churches in the world, and domes at that. So let's go ahead and actually draw two squares or rectangles on this piece of paper to start us off. We'll do the top one is Florence, and then we'll talk about Venice in our second square. Now, if you were doing again, the little pieces of paper, you do not need to draw a square or a rectangle. You already have your paper. This is for anybody who's doing the book. But now for both of us who are doing the book and the world map version, let's write Florence at the top. And then we are learning about the Duomo, which is an Italian word. I want you to try and say it too. So Duomo. It means dome in Italian. All right. So with this part, I also want you to do this in pencil, and then you can outline it in Sharpie or marker later. But what we're going to do is we are going to draw the Duomo itself. So to do that, I want you to go maybe just about here on your square or on your paper that you're drawing the Florence little section here. And I want you to draw a U shape, pretty big. Then I want you to draw two straight lines down. And then you're going to draw another U shape to connect. Next, we're going to draw the dome itself. So go to the top here and draw a rainbow line to connect. Now we're going to draw sort of like another wall or another part of the Duomo. So that's just like a structure that's sort of coming off to the side here. To do that, it's going to be super easy. You're just going to draw a horizontal line out and a horizontal line out, kind of like an equal sign. And then you're going to connect. You can also put another dome on top of it. So you can do another rainbow line on top. Now we want this dome to look a little bit more like a dome. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a straight line down in the middle. Then we're going to draw a curved line and a curved line. So that way it has sort of this round shape. We're also going to draw just a door into the Duomo. So go ahead and draw a U shape there. Sorry, a rainbow shape there. And then you're going to draw a horizon line in the background. So that's just going to be two straight lines out. All right, now let's go ahead and draw Venice next. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my other one here, my other rectangle. You could also do a square if you want. I'm just trying to use up a majority of the paper. And then we're going to write Venice at the top. So V-N-I-C-E. Now Venice is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's built on top of water, and they're most famous for their canal system. So we're going to write canals here at the bottom. Now what's so cool about Venice is that it is built on top of this lagoon. So a long, long time ago when the city of Venice was being crafted and being made, what they did is they actually dug into the lagoon and drained certain parts of it. And then they put down these giant wooden stakes and wood planks and built on top of those with stone. So it's like a floating city. And of course, because they built on top of a lagoon, they don't have any roads. So they use the water, the canals, to travel all throughout the city. So that's what we're going to draw. We're going to draw a gondola, one of the types of boats they use to travel throughout their city. Now to draw the gondola, we are going to start with sort of like a leaf shape. To do that, we are going to draw a long U shape, just about here in the center. You're going to draw a rainbow line on top to connect. And then you're going to draw another U shape down below to make the bottom of the boat, or of the gondola. Next, we're going to go ahead and draw sort of a bridge in the back here. Now, of course, they have to be able to connect and get to different parts of their city You can't just do that with boats sometimes, so they have some bridges that connect parts of the city together. So to do this, let's go ahead and draw 2 horizontal lines coming off from the side here. Draw another rainbow shape to connect across. And then you're going to draw a long horizontal line all the way across like that. Now that we have the 2 drawings here of Florence and Venice, I'm going to now do 2 more with you, just so you have them under your wing here. And this is, of course, going to be the city of Rome that we're going to do next. All right, so go ahead and grab another piece of paper, and if you're doing the world map, just grab another one of your squares. And let's go ahead and prepare a space for one of the most incredible pieces of architecture in Rome. All right, so of course we're talking about Rome, so we're going to put Rome at the top here. This is how you spell it. And then we are going to draw here the Colosseum. Now there's 2 ways you can spell it. I'm going to show you one way to spell it here. It's kind of a long word, so pace yourself. Colosseum. All right, so the Colosseum is this really incredible piece of architecture. It's huge. It was actually, at the time, the biggest amphitheater that was ever made in Italy. Now, for this, what we're going to do, it's kind of dilapidated now, but at the time it was this beautiful oval shape. We're going to draw a straight, actually, let's draw the main part of it first. So we're going to draw, again, a very long, almost U shape. Draw 2 straight lines down. And then draw another U shape to connect. Now, again, the Colosseum is very old, so a lot of it has been destroyed from earthquakes and actually people stealing the stones off of it. So what we're going to do is draw the part of it that is kind of, destroyed here at the top, but still sort of standing. To do this, you're going to draw a straight line up, horizontal line across, diagonal line down. Now what you can do if you want to make your Colosseum a little advanced, you can draw more U shapes on the inside here, like these very long curved lines. And then you can draw the archways. So that's just a bunch of rainbow lines over and over and over again, all across the way. Now, for the Colosseum, since it is an amphitheater, what was it used for? It was used for entertainment. A lot of things and a lot of events were held in the Colosseum. I think the most famous ones would be, gladiator contests or public spectacles. Sometimes they would do like battleship spectacles or shows on the inside here, along with a lot of other things. It was kind of like an all-purpose. All right, so there's our Colosseum. Now we need a horizon line in the back because we don't just want like this Colosseum floating. So go ahead and draw 2 horizontal lines here in the back. Now, obviously, the Colosseum is a huge tourist attraction. It's in the center of Rome, which was the center of Italy here. So Florence is about here. Rome is here. It's very close to the coastline. Venice is actually over here in the northeastern part. And last but not least, Naples, which is going to be down here. So go ahead, grab another square or make another square if you're drawing it like me. And we're going to write Naples at the top here. And now what is Naples known for? Naples is known for Mount Vesuvius. So we're going to write Mount. We're shortening it by writing MT and then a dot. And then Vesuvius. What is Mount Vesuvius? It's a volcano. Mount Vesuvius is a very famous volcano in Italy. It's actually the only active volcano on mainland Europe. And what we're going to do to draw it out is we're going to start with a oval, the top here, for the opening of the volcano. And then you're going to draw a curved line down and another curved line down. And then you can do sort of V shapes across until you connect to the other side. Go ahead and put 3 lines in the center, kind of show the rock going up. And then also, again, a horizon line in the background. Now, why is Mount Vesuvius so famous besides for being the only active volcano? Well, it's been around forever. It has also been around since ancient times, and it's known for being the volcano that destroyed the city of Pompeii. It's a very famous story. You'll probably learn about it more if you haven't already. All right, so you have these ones under your wing. I'm actually going to go ahead and set these ones aside, and we are going to focus our time coloring in together our square here for Florence and Venice. Now, what you can do for this project is you can actually use really whatever you have to color these in. If you're doing the tiny little squares for the world map version, you might want to use color pencil or marker. Doing something like watercolor might be very tricky on something so small. But it's up to you. Choose what you like. I am going to be sticking to color pencil, marker, and a little bit of watercolor just because mine are pretty big here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start with our Florence one up here, the Duomo. And I'm going to begin by using a little bit of marker on the top of the dome. Now, the Duomo in Florence has this stunning red roof. So I'm going to use a red marker. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in the dome with the red. Again, another beautiful part of the Renaissance. Can you imagine living in a city where you suddenly have this beautiful cathedral there? And I'm going to go ahead and fill in the top of this roof in with the red as well. Since I have my markers here, I might as well. I'm going to go ahead and just fill in the little doorway with my marker. I'm going to do it in brown, I think. And now I'm going to take out my colored pencils. Now, for my colored pencil, depending on the kind of paper you have and how big your drawing is, colored pencils can take you a little while, and that's okay. You don't have to finish at the same time as me. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a brown colored pencil. I think I want a dark brown, just so that I have some nice contrast. And I am going to do a little bit of shading on the sides of the Duomo and as well as this wall over here. So I'm holding up pretty high on my pencil, and I am just adding in these lines here. All right, so you're filling in these sections here. You're also going to fill in the side over here. Again, it might take you a little longer just because it's colored pencil. Bringing in some of that color on this side. And then don't forget to do part of the wall here. All right, there we go. Now you can build up these layers if you want to. Again, if you're working on the very small pieces of paper instead of doing the large one like us today, you might do this part a lot faster. But what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go ahead and just bring that color in a little bit. I'm pressing really, 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 really light and holding my pencil really high, as you can see. And then I'm going to fill in the rest of that very lightly with this sort of like tannish gold color. I'm going to make sure I do that on the wall as well. And there we go. You can go back again and fill in the sides even darker if you would like to. In fact, I think I might need to, just because I'm noticing it's pretty light. All right, so once you have that, we're gonna go ahead and work on the ground. Now for this, you can use a gray, or you can use a black and just press really light. You could even do a, another type of brown if you have it. But let's go ahead and fill in the ground here. Again, I'm using a color pencil, but if you want to use something else, go for it. You could even do all of this in marker if you wanted. Right, almost there. Done. I also want to add a little bit of a shadow underneath my building. So I am taking my pencil and I am just, again, adding a little bit more here, just so that it looks a little more three-dimensional. And then you can also add a little more, maybe closer to the horizon line. Only if you want to, though. All right, last but not least, we have the sky. I'm gonna be using a blue color pencil, and I'm just gonna fill in my entire sky with blue. You can also add clouds or birds flying through the sky later if you want to. Really whatever you want. Sort of make this beautiful building stand out. Almost there. If you have to sort of get into like the edges here, go ahead and do so. I'm going to go ahead and scoot these over a little bit. There we go. All filled in. So there we have it. Florence is all done. Let's go ahead and move on to Venice. Now for our Venice picture here, I'm thinking I actually want to fill in the sky with a blue color, just because I want it to stand out from the other materials that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my markers once more. I'm going to find my light blue. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in the sky. Since it's such a large area, I am going to press a little bit lighter. I don't want to press like so hard down on my marker. Now I'm going to do long strokes. Again, if you're doing the little tiny square version, this part is going to go way faster for you. Now using that same marker, I'm actually going to go ahead and go into the water area here. Now I'm going to do waves with my marker. I'm going to make them smaller the farther away I get. So by the time I get to the back here, I've got teeny tiny little lines for waves. Might make this one longer. All right. Now what we're going to do is we are going to fill in our gondola here with some color pencil. So I'm going to take again that dark brown I had, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in the inside of the gondola with the dark brown. Really filling that in. Want it to be nice and dark because again it is the inside of the boat, of the gondola itself. And then I'm going to take that same color and I'm going to add a little bit of shading on the sides of the boat, sides of the gondola. All right. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take a gray or a black And I am just going to very lightly fill in the bridge here. Now I'm actually okay with there being white spaces in this part because I'm going to do a watercolor technique to sort of fill that in a little bit more. However, you can fill it in completely with colored pencil or whatever material that you have. We obviously want the focus to be on the water here. So we're going to make sure the water is the thing that stands out. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and set my colored pencils aside, and I'm going to go ahead and take out my watercolors again. So I have my watercolors off to the side here. And I'm going to go ahead and take my brush once more, and I am going to fill in the water. Now you can go right over those lines we did in marker. In fact, depending on the paper you're using, they're going to dissolve into the color that we put down. And that's going to actually add to the look of the waves. All right, so we're filling that in. Again, I'm being very careful with my brush as I get close to those edges because I don't want to get outside the lines there. Need a little bit more water on my brush. Then I'm going to keep going. All right. Now you could either choose to leave your gondola and your bridge like so. What I'm actually going to do is I am going to go over those now with another color. So I'm going to use sort of a yellow. I would also even use a gold. I'm going to go over what I did for the gondola. And then I'm going to go ahead and very, very carefully, I only want the teeny tiniest bit of black so that I can make a gray water color. And I'm going to fill in the bridge here. I don't want it to be too dark because, again, my focus should be on the gondola and the water itself, because that's what Venice is all about. It's these canal systems that the city is filled with. In fact, the main one, sort of Grand Canal, is actually 2 miles long, and it goes through the whole part of Venice. All right, so there you go. That's how you can color yours in. Now, if you want to, you can also spend some time filling in our other ones. Remember, we still have Rome and Mount Vesuvius. Now, I'm going to let you go ahead and color those in on your own time. You can outline them in Sharpie. You can outline your stuff in colored pencil once it's all dry. I'll even show you what a completed version of Rome and Naples can look like. You can see I added some clouds into the background here. Now, what you can do when you're done is you can take all of these pages that we made and you can put them into some sleeves inside of like a binder to create a book. Now, I think the last thing we're going to do, just because our map is feeling pretty dry, is I do want us to go ahead and place at least the capital onto our map. So go ahead and just grab a marker or grab a pencil, whatever you desire, and let's go ahead and just put Rome onto here since everything is nice and dry. So Rome is about in the center of Italy. I'm going to start right here. I'm going to put a little dot. And I'm going to write Rome. So I know that's the capital of Italy. Now what you can do, if you had the squares cut out for your, if you're doing like the world map, once you have them all colored in, you can take your squares and paste them down to the locations of each city. I'm actually placing them there for you where they should go. So remember, Florence is about in the middle, but a little bit towards the north. Rome is right in the center here, and then Naples is actually towards the bottom here, but it's still towards the coastline. A lot of Italy and their cities that we are known or that we learned about are all on this west coast here. And then Venice is over here in the northeast corner. So again, if you're doing the world map version and you're trying to figure out where they go, here is your guide. Otherwise, that is it. You have all the things ready for your first around the world map. I'll go ahead and set these just all next to each other so that you have them for your reference, and you can pause the video if you need to see any of these images once more. All right, so there we have it. So go ahead and pause here if you need to look at these images to see if you need to fix anything or just add something or to see the spelling of something. Great. So I hope you had a lot of fun learning about Italy and all of its famous landmarks today. Of course, there are even more landmarks and places that we could talk about. I encourage you to do even more research about Italy and what's famous there and what makes Italy, Italy. Next time we're going to be learning about the country France, which I think a lot of you are going to enjoy. So make sure that you share your artwork of Italy in our Fibo Village Facebook page, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.